Okay, go ahead and you say and spell your first and last name and your title.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sergeant Noel Guerin, Noelguerin. I'm a sergeant with the Austin Police Department, and I'm in charge of South Property Investigations, which covers areas surrounded by Zilker Park. I'm here today to talk about the ACL Festival phone thefts.
So how many phones were taken and recovered?
So we have reports of about 43 phones that were lost or stolen this weekend. Of course, that number is subject to change because people were making reports, up until, this very hour, or they're discovering they're missing. So there's probably a little bit of a lag. There may be a little bit more phones that are missing or lost, depending on that. I know that some phones were turned in at the festival that were lost at the festival, and they have the lost and found booth that were turned in there that we're not going to get. And so that number is subject to change all the time.
Do you have a number of how many people believe were stolen, not lost?
It's hard to say exactly how many phones were stolen versus lost, because some people may say it's lost when it's actually stolen, or they may say it's stolen and it's actually lost. It just depends. It's hard to say.
Well, how many were turned in? Do you know?
I have no idea. If you go to, so ACL has a really cool thing. They partner with a website called Crowdfind. And so if you go to the ACL page, the Lost and Found page on their website, has a link to a Crowdfind website. And so what that does is that gives it like a virtual catalog. So they take a picture of everything that was turned in at ACL Fest, and there's steps that you can take to identify the stolen property, or the property that they have found, and you can claim it and then create a shipping label and send it back. It's the same website that we used last year, the ACL let us use last year, when we recovered a bunch of phones that were stolen during weekend one of last year. They let us use that website to catalog all those phones to try to return those phones at that time.
How does the 43 losses stolen so far this first weekend, how does it compare to the first weekend last year?
So the only thing I have to compare with, and this is just unofficially, is I can tell you that the phones that we recovered last year that were found out of state, that were returned to us, that we put on the Crowdfind website, that number was about 120. And then so far this year, like we said, we've gotten 43 reports of lost or stolen phones. So is that an honest comparison of how many phones were actually, we have reports on versus how many phones we recovered? Not really, but for me, that's as close to what perfect science as I think we're going to get.
Yeah, last year it seemed to be that there was some type of organized crime.
That's correct.
That was involved in last year.
Absolutely.
Do you get the sense that we had the same kind of element, not necessarily the same people, but the same kind of element doing the same type of business model?
Absolutely, no doubt. There are festivals all over the country. Lollapalooza, Life is Beautiful, stuff like that. While most people come to these events and festivals to listen to music, have a couple drinks, relax, and have fun, some people have made it their business to attend these festivals simply for doing nothing more than stealing stuff. And so, absolutely, I think there is a criminal nexus that is organized, that trains and does a very good job taking people's stuff from them when they're not paying attention.
We were hearing from some viewers that they were potentially cutting like the drawstring backpacks or camelbacks. Did you get reports of that? And just, getting the phones that way, did you get reports
I
of that?
heard that last year. I've not heard or seen any reports this year where people were claiming that happened.
I've seen pictures of bags that were cut open this
Okay.
year, and so just out of curiosity, is there any concerns about like sharp objects going in, not being stopped from going in?
I can tell you that ACL Fest does a great job with their security measures, and everybody's safety and security is absolutely our priority. And so if somebody happens to get in something, it would be news to us. I think those incidents are probably very rare. And of course, you could use a stick to cut open stuff if you really wanted to, a sharp stick, and we can't, clear Zilker Park of all sharp sticks. So, like I said, I haven't seen any reports this year of that happening. If it happens, I'm sure it's probably pretty rare.
If that is happening, where's the best place to put your phone? How do you ensure that's
So
not gonna...
we were talking about this just a minute ago. I worked out there all weekend long, and so I was privy to watching people walk around, and people just have no concept of their personal space. And so I saw phones sticking out of back pockets. I saw phones sticking out of bras. People were putting phones wherever they were, but I did see a fair number of people wearing fanny packs that were facing frontwards. They were keeping their stuff in, which was good, putting their phones in their front pockets. Phones, I think, have gotten a little bit smaller, so that kind of helps maybe a little bit. Front, backpacks that, face front, so you can kind of keep an eye on it. Anything to keep your phone or your wallet or your money or cash, somewhere where you can see it and kind of be able to kind of keep an eye on it is always a good idea. Also too, I would recommend that people not keep their credit cards and their IDs tucked in like a pouch that attaches to the back of the phone, because we're seeing, you know, of course, those, when your phone gets stolen and your credit card and your ID gets stolen, you know, especially if you're traveling from out of state, you're gonna be, you know, having some hard time getting back through the airport without an ID. And of course, there's always the chance for any fall-off credit card abuse type cases where they take your credit card and go on a shopping spree without you knowing.
What makes musical festival goers such, I guess, targets for,
I think it's the pure number of people who are present. You know, ACL Fest has, you know, thousands of people that are there. And so, you know, we can't stop, in the middle of a crowd, we can't stop somebody from doing something or even see it. So it's just the sheer number of people and the sheer volume of people in a confined space. It's just stuff like that is just absolutely gonna happen. And so it's incumbent upon, you know, our citizens, and it's incumbent upon our guests who come to our town, not to be scared. Come here, this is Austin, this is still Austin, so let's come in and have a relaxed, fun time, but absolutely pay attention to your surroundings. You wouldn't wanna walk somewhere in the middle of the night without knowing where you're going. Don't keep your stuff somewhere you can't see it.
The 100 phones you mentioned last year, was that just from the first weekend or for both weekends?
That was from specifically last year's things, 2018 stuff, that was weekend one,
Oh, okay.
correct.
You know, last week, we had a news conference, and the message was, we are gonna be out in force.
Correct.
You're gonna see us, and you're not gonna see us. In regards to how the number of arrests that's been going on, the number of things that y'all have been able to control in the first week, are you surprised by how, are you surprised by the criminal activity, or is this, you know, just par for the course?
I'm not surprised. I think, you know, if we're just gonna compare the phones we got last year to the phone reports that we have this year, you know, we're doing much better, I think. It's going to happen in that type of environment. You know, like I said, ACL Fest takes their security very seriously. You know, I know for a fact our visible, the line of cops that you see when you walk into the event is much more assertive this year than it has been in years past. So I think that hopefully maybe sends a message to people that we're paying more attention and we're trying to be a little bit more proactive on people's safety. You know, we do what we can, but, you know, even still, there's a finite number of cops versus, you know, thousands of people. It's just.
In your division, I forget.
So my job is property crimes investigations for South Austin.
Property crimes.
Correct.
So you're just one of several units that's working the festival. I mean, there were multiple units out there, and y'all hit this thing hard.
I was there not as a representative necessarily of my unit. I just happened to be working inside the festival as part of, you know, I was hired by ACL to do work, but it also happens that my unit does get assigned the missing phone cases. So it's kind of ends up being good for me because I hear about it when it happens, but bad for me because I know Monday morning is going to be an interesting time.
Last question.
Well, I did want to ask about the Oak if anyone else had any more phone questions on that.
You can ask. I just wanted to ask if APD is watching any specific groups or doing anything other than patrolling at the event to try and watch these people who come in.
I'm not going to discuss ongoing investigations or ongoing investigative methods.
One of my colleagues is working on a story regarding the Lizzo concert. Apparently, there were a lot of concerns about overcrowding. I know you said you were there. I mean, were police aware of the situation where she's on a smaller stage and maybe her popularity suggested?
That's an ACL Fest thing. I'm going to defer to that. We were obviously aware of it. You know, anytime, you know, we get a crowd like that, we're concerned because, you know, safety is our priority. But as far as what stage she was on, stuff like that, that's an ACL Fest thing.
Well, and does APD have any sort of jurisdiction if, you know, ACL or any event gets to a point where it's dangerously overcrowded? Could you have them change venues?
That's a fire marshal and a city code issue.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Can I ask just a question off camera? Is that okay?
Get the word.
I'm just wondering.